TvGrace presents the inexpressible words of God, the gospel of grace, on the lips of Jesus Christ man. Abba, Father.
Well, let's look to Psalms 82 to begin. These are verses that are simple but also profound. Psalms 82:6. I say you are God's. You are all, say all. Say I am, my brother is. You are all children of the Most High. It is to say that the children are God's. So we are God's, but also children, because God's purpose was to send angels, those spirits, send them here to earth and then put flesh on them and incarnating in the like manner that God incarnated in Jesus of Nazareth. One day he incarnated in you and gave you a body. But the end is that you understand that you are a God. Because if you are a child of God, you can't be anything else. Each seed bears fruit by its gender. Creation is faithful. If you sow, whatever you sow, you're going to reap that very thing. If you've sown, unless a phenomenon happens and you sowing plantains, oranges, is what you harvest, that would be a phenomenon. That wouldn't be correct. But what's correct is that God had children and they took part in flesh. So when they incarnated, then they're identical to him. The only thing that when they vested us in flesh, we have weaknesses and we're not as powerful as he is in spirit. But when he was here in the flesh, he also had weaknesses. They would spit on him. They would beat him. He had weaknesses. But the idea is for you to recover your identity. And you know that there isn't any ministry here on earth that has returned the true identity to their believers and tell them that they're God's. You know why? Because they think that is to have a lot of pride. You know, religion has caused so much harm that to call someone a God, that can't be. Number one, they've made Christ to be such a religious individual. So the Catholic Church has taken Jesus of Nazareth and made a mystical image. And we think, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And they presented him that way. So in his second coming, for him to return, it becomes very difficult. The person that God was going to choose for that becomes difficult for him. They can't accept that there are gods. Listen, to call yourself a God, you don't call yourself a God because you think that you are the star of the show. No, you are called a God because that is your true identity. You are a spirit. The spirit is what gives life. The flesh profits nothing. So God's goal is that you see yourself in your true identity. And he is totally pleased with that. Those whom he foreknew, he also predestined, and those that he foreknew, he also called. In my office, I was trying to find a verse that I couldn't find. Speaking of Judas, it says that Judas, he went back to his own place. In other words, if you've come from heaven, you will return to heaven. There is a saying that says that everything that goes up must come down. Here is everything that comes down must go up. That is why when Eve had Cain and Abel, imagine, those are my two babies. They're very good. But there was a voice that was heard from heaven that says, I will put enmity between those two seeds. So there's where we've discovered that not everything that has flesh will go up. There are others that will go down. It is to say that their end is to die and everything finishes there. They're not going to be burned in a lake of fire. What is the idea to burn a spirit? What gets burned is what has flesh. So their end is the grave, the hell, right? The grave. So when they die, everything finishes there. But if you've come down from heaven, you will go back to heaven, to the great cloud of witness. So then we have had to transform our mind, to renew it. Everyone that's renewed in our ministry, it's very easy for them to understand everything God is revealing. We've had many that with the manifestation of the Son of Man that have always been, the only thing now we've begun to reveal that. In other words, they loved me, not telling them I was the Son of Man. But I've always been the same. I've always been teaching mysteries that no man has revealed. It's always been the same. But we're saddened that some have difficulty with that and stumble and have difficulty with our topics, because after all, God has never leaving us with a subject that he hasn't supported by what's written. When we said that hell doesn't exist, many got insulted. But the Pope went and said it and said that the hell doesn't exist. That's a mental state. Oh, because the Pope said it. A man that doesn't even know the Bible, that what he knows about the Bible is a mixture. All of those priests, sad. They're the worst teachers that you can find. I've never seen a priest that teaches the word correctly. Never. And listen, I've seen many television programs. I educate myself. I just don't speak to speak. I've seen Protestantism from the United States here, from the Bible Belt, those great teachers, as they say. Billy Graham, who was awarded and recognized, and they gave him a tremendous recognition. But he knows nothing about predestination. What he's conformed with is making a calling and seeing people come up to an altar. And many have focused on the veil of Jesus Christ. And with the veil of Jesus Christ, they've built their churches. And this system has functioned. But this system is very ignorant. It's for the first time a ministry arises that can teach the word of God with sound words that produce comfort, that gives you an identity. Number one, it takes away your fear, and it removes it in such a form that sometimes you do things, wait a minute, what's going on with me? No, is that I used to live so, that my conduct was based on fear before, not based on knowledge. There are people that behave well on account of fear. And God doesn't like that you behave well based in what you're not, because that is called hypocrisy. That is why the churches are full of hypocrites. One day Jesus told the Pharisees 24 times in a chapter, hypocritical Pharisees that put loads upon others, whitening sepulchres. Because religion, that's what it produces, hypocrisy. That is why, not sometimes, we're not the most popular church in our city, because to come here, we must peel you and get rid of all that dirt you bring here. I used to be full of a lot of dirt. They've had to polish me, because we don't measure up to what God demands. The idea is to form Christ in you. To form Christ in you. That your mind thinks as Jesus Christ thinks. This is to say that your mind is identical to the mind of Christ. What would Christ do in this moment? And that takes time. That is a process. Look at what Isaiah 46, verse 3 says. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all of the remnant of the house of Israel, which are carried, that's not Cain, by me, whom birthed that one was Adam. And all of the remnant of the house of Israel, which are carried by me from the belly, those that are carried from the womb. That's a process. They bring you and then they follow up with you. You are a spirit that in the womb of your mother, that was placed in your mother's womb. They care for you, the angels, with all of them epidemics and the lack of science. Now, a lot of medicine and science has increased. But before, it used to be a midwife that would cut the umbilical cord with a rusted knife. But if you were brought from the angel into the womb of your mother, they would have to cure any germ that would manifest there. There are some other babies that haven't made and that mothers haven't been able to birth. They've died. But God, it go right back to the presence of God. Those spirits that could not take flesh, we don't know what's the reason for that. But if you are a mom here that you've lost a child, probably as you birthed him, don't get into the why of that. Just turn that over to the Lord's hand. Everything is fine. Those that are carried from the womb, those that are protected, and look at the process, even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he. I am he who will sustain you. You are the ones that he guides. You are the ones of that seed that he said, I would put enmity between the two seeds. This one, I have to support them, though to their gray hairs. Doesn't matter. I've allowed for them to come here, so I will sustain them. I will carry you. I will sustain you in the midst of your lies, your theft, and all of your misbehaving. If I brought them here, I have to care for them. I hope he would behave, but if he doesn't, I have to take that upon my account. When Christ is formed in you, you understand that clearly. But when he's not formed in you, you say, oh, that can't be that way. Well, it is that way. God made you, and God is the one that carried you. He supported you. He sustains you because you are bad. Man or women, but some have not seen the things you've kept hidden. He's delivered you from many things. You are bad. And let that not be painful. Kill the flesh. The flesh is bad. It profits nothing. There are people that have these weak concepts of themselves. I see a lot of folks like that when I fly, because I always fly first class on account that I have a lot of mileage. Sometimes I run out of mileage and it becomes difficult, but I almost every time fly first class. But the best people, they fly coach. But the ones that fly first class, they think they're very special. So you see them arrogantly throwing their luggage in the bin, and they slam the door, and they sit down, and they're obnoxious, and they mistreat the flight attendants. Oh, I don't like this. And you see them disrespectfully. Not me. Me, the way I conduct myself, I do it differently. Because I remember one day I asked for a tomato juice. I'm sorry, a Bloody Mary. Yes, because I was already going to remove the alcohol, and tomato juice, that is no good. Well, I was flying to the Dominican Republic, and I was dressed sporty. I had a pair of pants that were khaki pants. So the flight attendants, she had poured the tomato juice on my pants. And you know that stands. I've seen people that they've just dropped a crumb on them and they've been insulted. But I understand that they're trying to do the best they can, and that can happen to anyone. So she was so nervous on account of that accident. She got so nervous that she thought I was going to report her to American Airlines. And I had to calm her down, tap her on her shoulder and say, don't worry about it. That can happen to anyone. Listen, if I'm dressed in khaki pants, it's because I'm not going directly to any meetings. So I can just wash them and everything is going to be fine. Relax, because then you're not going to be able to serve the rest of the flight because dinner wasn't served yet. So she took me to the back. And so then she took salsa water, right? That the water with salsa, it helps to remove sparkle water, the stains. It helps. And she calmly, with rags, she had all kind of rags, and she would cleaning my pants, and she asked what was my name. And when I said my name, notice she said, Jose Luis de Jesus from Lawrence, Massachusetts? Yes. Are you from there? I was the young girl that took part in your wedding. You know, as a flower girls, I was a flower girl. Well, tell me that. If you wouldn't pour that tomato juice on me, I would have discovered that. That is why it says, for those that love the Lord, all things work out for the good. This is to those that are carried by God. Marvelous things happen, but you have to be humble. Your thoughts in order. Live in God's rest, as the Americans say. Easy does it. Things come out easy. Everyone in this world is in a rush, and everyone is in fear. People think they can't be forgiven. They're agitated. But I walk in God's peace. I'm always in calm. Calm down. Don't get agitated. You know what it is to walk in peace? To walk in peace is to use the mind, not the body, because if you use the body a lot, it makes you old. It makes you old. It'll get you sick. But if you work more with your mind and less with your body, the years you will sustain. Behave manfully. Rise that confession. No, because if not, the flesh will eat you out. You'll get up in the morning in a blue day with a dark morning, the rain. In those countries that sometimes the political system is corrupt and people, they lock themselves in 4 walls, and they are led by what is spoken in the news. The youth in the university begin to get into political issues, and they begin to suffer. You get nervous. Calm down. Use the word. Don't conform to this world. Use the mind. In your mind, there are many channels with provision there, which are never used. You know, as a refrigerator, when you have all kind of food in that refrigerator, you take a trip for 5 days, and when you come back, things get spoiled. You got to throw them out. And with pain, you have to throw them out. They're spoiled. And I have to just go out and buy them again. If I would have been here, I would have eaten it. But if I'm not, I got to throw it out. So that is the way your mind is. You have your mind with full of provision. But then you go on a trip. But your trips are in guilt. So all of that provision there, it's being rotted. No, you're not using it. God always leads us in triumph. The spirit that dwells in me is a spirit of power and of self-dominion, of love. Don't take a trip. Stay sound, firm. Because there are people that go into these guilt trips and they start tripping, and right away they see everything bad. Oh, things are terrible here. Florida is going to sink. One day they prophetically stated that, and people began to move out of the state of Florida. Stay firm. because the Psalms say that the earth is under God's dominion, and this earth is firm and nothing can move it. That this world is going to explode and you're going to be burned, and your grandparents and your grandkids. Stop that nonsense. This here is controlled by he that says, I will take you, I will sustain you, I will support you up to your gray hairs, but I will do what I want. That's what it says. What does Isaiah 46 says? Present that verse again for me. Look at verse 5. Whom will you compare me, or count me equal? To whom will you compare me? God says, this human race thinks that I'm just anything. Who do you compare me with? They lavish gold out of the bag and weigh silver on scales and hire a goldsmith to make a god from it. And then they prostrate themselves and worship it with the holy virgin, with the crucifixion, with the saints, Saint Lazarus, and they put him in the living room. Who do you compare me with? With images? Listen, if you have that, throw that out. Break them. Don't give it to anyone, because you'll harm someone else. But that of images and stamps and the holy this and holy that, be careful with that, because God tells you, who are you comparing me with? These are good, because these are talk about here gold and silver. What they sell you, it's nothing but chalk. They paint them with those beautiful colors, and they put little gold spots on them. And you think, oh, Virgin Mary, please protect me. The only one that can protect you is God. He's the one that does all things. Don't get into that idolatry. Those that are listening to me, throw all of that junk out of your house. God doesn't work with that the lucky bracelets and the crucifixion that gives me luck. Oh, this gives me luck. The day that I put this on, I won the vehicle that they raffled out. No, you can't live off of that, because you're not using your mind. You're not eating out of the refrigerator. You're eating out of the garbage can, out of the bin, taking old things out of there, having the refrigerator with lots of provision there. Hello. Let's continue with Isaiah 46. They lifted on the shoulders and carry it, a procession, those Catholic processions, and they placed it and stand it there, and they don't move. You've seen those images they put in your cities? When I was a child, my mom, that used to be a idol worshiper, but she began to understand more of the Word of God, and she left all of that after the fact. But when I used to go by a cemetery, I used to do the sign of the cross. And if there were young ladies around me, I would, kind of do it. I would walk by, you know what I'm talking about. I would walk by the front of a church, and if you got on a plane, that's where you really see people, those people that you see them, and they're thugs. But when the plane begins to take off, they do the sign of the cross. You hear them on the cellular phone speaking, tell him I'm not here. Forget about that. They speak loudly. When you have a cell phone and speaking on it, speak. Airplanes, you see a lot of ravished people. A lot of entrepreneurs that get on there, and you hear them all over the plane. Listen, yeah, I had the $50,000 below the draw, and perhaps he had 50 cents there. Tell him not to return, that he's lost his position. Forget about that. And then when the plane takes off, they do the sign of the cross. Listen, in those flights, I learn a lot, man. But I suffer also a lot because you see so many false people. What happens to me, I look as Christ when he saw his sheep and he saw them as sheep without a shepherd. And he says, "Oh, Israel, so many times I have longed to gather you as the hen gathered her chicks, and you were stubborn." So I see so many hypocrites, so many people that walk in falsehood. And I say, oh God, it's sad. And everything is about the money, the money. And finances is not everything. Money plays a very good role, but it's not everything. There are things that you must give priority to. So look at what verse 7 says. This is a great point here I want to make. It says it's placed there and it doesn't move from its place because they carry it. They yell, one shall cry, but he does not answer. And he does not save you from your trouble. They're just wasting their time. People think that I'm disrespectful when I speak about this. Disrespectful? I've said very little. The apostle of love called them dogs, cowards. Don't you see they continue to deceive the nations? Now, they don't give you what I give you. They don't give them their identity. They keep them there with rosaries. Oh, my good sister and brother, go in peace. Give me your offering. Light up the candles. But they don't tell them you are God's. God always takes you triumphant. Because they would be enlightened, they would awaken. So these priests, these pastors, they don't want anybody to understand. What they want to maintain is the congregation with songs like hallelujah, hallelujah. They maintain them, they're injected for 20, 30 years and come forward and they pray on Saturdays, but they don't tell them their true identity, because when you discover that you are a God, you think you're going to be coming up front to kneel down for what? To ruin your skirt, your pants? Why do you have to kneel there? What, that is a symbol of humility? That's a lie. What you have to humiliate is your mind. That is why this word, most don't like it, because I touch these red buttons in which all those churches, they live off of those lies and they maintain their congregations full under fear, a false reverence unto God. Isaiah 46, verse 8. Remember this and be assured. Recall it to mind. That is my job, to bring you back to your true identity. God is in the midst of the congregation of the mighty, and he judges among the gods. That's what he does, to bring you back to your true identity. You prevaricator. Reason with me. The things I say are written. Reason. Open the refrigerator of your mind where all of those products there are frozen. Take them out. Defrost them. Defrost them, yes. So that, what do you do with a frozen pork chop? The idea is when you thaw it out and you season it and you cook some rice, right? A couple of pork chops on the grill or oven, while they're frozen, they're good for nothing. And you have thoughts that are frozen that you have piled up there. That mold is coming out of them as they do in old bread. Oh, I don't think I can survive this. How can he be the Son of Man? Verse 9, remember the former things of old, For I am God, and there is none else, and I am God, and there is none like me. I make known the end from what? The beginning. What is that? That's predestination. That I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient time, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand. How precious. And I will do all that I please. I will do what? All that I please. And what? That he wants to do certain things, and he's already announced them? He's announced them beforehand. They will come. You will see them manifest because they will all come in their time. Today's topic is citizens of heaven. Everything that comes down will go up. If you were with God, you will return to God as the prodigal son. He left, and he returned. So your life is secured. So walk manfully, think right, redeem time well. Don't lose time. Open the refrigerator of your mind and use all of the provision that you have there. Make a good dinner. Learn how to cook well what you have on your mind. Don't go on a trip because the food will spoil.